Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Fifth Chakra podcast. Um, Today, I'm joined by Melissa and Denny. Hello, guys.
Hi guys.
Hey guys.
Okay, so just to introduce the podcast in this first episode, um, where does the name come from? Well, the name I got it from Avatar: The Last Airbender. If anyone has watched it, you know that Aang had to go through training to be able to master the Avatar state, and in that training, he had to unlock the seven chakras. Um, the thing is, the seven chakras are actually based on something from real life. It actually comes from Hinduism. They have this belief that we have seven chakras in our body, from the very bottom to the top of our head. And all of those chakras are connected to a part of our body and to colors and also certain characteristics of a person. They're blocked by certain things and then they are released by other things. In the case of the fifth chakra, it's the chakra of sound. That one is located in the throat. It makes sense. It is connected to the color blue, and it is related to communication. So it hit me that it only made sense to pick the fifth chakra because it is related to communication, right? And it is also blocked by lies and dishonesty. So the idea is that in this podcast we are open. We have uh, the safe space to be ourselves and to speak our mind without any sort of fear for retaliation or being called anything. Right? That's the idea of the podcast. Um, so for today's topics, generally speaking, we're going to talk about adulthood, right? And any hardships it brings, but particularly in terms of friend making, right? And whatever that entails as well. What is a friend? What is friendship? Um, how is friend making as an introvert? How is it as an extrovert? What are the differences? And then also the difference between being alone and feeling lonely, right? And how those two things, although they sound interchangeable, they're not really the same thing. So, just to start, guys, how has adult life treated you so far?
Go ahead, Denny.
It's kicked my ass completely after graduating from college. No, I think adult life is definitely much more different. Considering that I graduated from college and I graduated right at the beginning of COVID. Um, a big given with adult life is that it's much less structured than going to school. Going to school, it's like you have these 5 classes you need to take. You need to take them for an hour, 2 hours a day. You have to do these assignments for homework, right? It's like it's easier to kind of like gauge your level of success or like how well you're doing. But as an adult, it's very difficult to kind of like know what you're doing. Like I feel like it's a lot of figuring things out. Like do I want to stay here with my parents? Do I want to move out? Should I save up for a car or an apartment? And I feel like friend making as an adult is very different too, because you have a lot less opportunities in terms of like like in high school, for example, you'd see people every day. It's easy naturally to just speak to them because you see them like 5 days a week, right? But as an adult, you'd be lucky to kind of make friends probably like at work. You might mesh with somebody who's at work, but it's much harder because you have less opportunities. And I feel like just the overall vibe of being an adult is a bit colder than like the fun vibe of being like in school. So I think it's definitely more challenging, but you got to work with it.
Yep. What about you, Melissa?
For me, it hasn't been easy because I started at a really young age, and at the beginning when I start my adult life, I just blame everything, everyone, and I just have an excuse of for why things happen to me. But you come to a point where you have to take responsibility about everything is going on, and that you're making decisions that is gonna affect you. And I think for me that's the hardest part to acknowledge that I'm responsible of what is going on in my life.
Yeah, yeah. I think although I'm still living with my parents, for instance, and I haven't finished my studies yet, um, it's still I think it dawns on me the fact that um, just what you said, like you actually have responsibilities. Like um, you don't have people doing things for you as you do when you're living with your parents. Like I don't have to pay any bills, right? I'm just worried about like what I'm gonna have for breakfast tomorrow. You know, that's like my biggest concern uh, at night. And not like, am I gonna be able to eat tomorrow? Like, which I think it may happen to some people who have economical problems when they just start out their adult life. You know, like um, and then they have other responsibilities like your job. You know, like you're not screwing around anymore. You're not in school. You're not in university either. Like now you have to worry about your career, and there are consequences to your actions. You know, I guess bigger consequences because there's always consequences to your actions even when you're a kid. But at this time, it feels more impactful and more realistic. Just uh, how far those consequences can go.
I think that, based on what you guys have said, like a common thing that most people go through, like in adulthood, is, like, pardon my French, like getting your shit together, like getting your life in order. Good job, you passed school, and now make your life. And everybody's like, well, what do I do? Right? And you're just figuring it out. And I think, in regards to, talking about difficulties of making friends as an adult, it's naturally harder to make friends because you're so busy, like you guys said, with responsibilities. You're responsible for taking care of yourself, what you're eating. You're not going to the cafeteria in the morning anymore and getting served something. You're not going to school because you know it's the right thing to do. You're over here thinking, should I work? Should I pursue higher education? And so a friend making kind of just gets like lost in all of that. You're trying to maintain um, a good flow with being on the right track, right? But also you're balancing that out with staying alive, staying sane, and having a social life. So it's a big balancing act.
Yeah, and like I think when it comes to adult life as well, like I think you almost are forced to become very individualistic, and it's really hard to to care about other people's lives. I feel like when you're an adult, because you have so much going on in your own life, that probably when you get back from work, all you want to do is just lie down and take a nap or something, and not having to be considered. Like let's say you get home and someone messages you right as you get home, and they tell you like, "Can we talk?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure, I have time, but I'm really tired. Like, can we do this some other time?" You know. So and I think I would still feel bad if I had to do that. You know, because like maybe that person needs me and it's something important, and I'm just so exhausted that I don't have the energy to even care uh, to a point, you know, and I guess inside it still feels bad when stuff like that happens.
Yeah, I think also it's because we need to take care of ourselves to a certain point. I mean, you cannot help other people if you don't feel good with yourself, but you just to have you have to find a balance between that and just being really egocentric with other people and don't have the empathy just to care about somebody else. But I think it's also because it comes to a point when, I don't know for you guys, but for me, for example, it's just you feel you're running out of time always. Like, I have to have a career, I have to have a good job, I have to have money, house, have to be healthy and have a good body. So you are just always worrying about a lot of stuff that even if you are in your bed, you are just still worrying and you keep doing it. And when someone needs your help, you feel like really exhausted because you already have a lot of trouble in your mind and you cannot help anyone else. So I don't know. Sometimes for me, I don't feel bad anymore because I just come to a point where I feel really tired and I just prefer to tell them, like, you know what, I'm just really tired and I cannot do it right now.
Yeah. Well, it seems like that's almost like a generalized thing at this point. You know, I feel like even though this you don't usually talk about this kind of stuff, I bet that if you went out and just uh, you took someone and you were and you asked them like, how much time do you have for yourself today? Like, how much free time do you have today? They're probably gonna tell you not much, you know. And like, what are you gonna use it for? Probably just, you know, take a nap or rest, you know, just chill out. And I feel like it's really unhealthy where this has come to, where you have to just like work, then come back, uh, sleep, and then start over. You know, and that's pretty much your whole day. And then if you think about it, that's your whole week, the whole month, the whole year, and then all of a sudden it becomes your whole life. You know, it's just that cycle of working and resting and preparing to work again. So that's just I don't feel like that's okay, you know. And for instance, here in Chile, they were actually looking to reduce the weekly amount of work that you could do. Right now, I think it's 45 hours a week, and they wanted to reduce it to 40. You know, and it's been a big deal because, well, just like in everything in politics, they're like the left proposed it, so it's not okay, right? So, but I think it would be greatly appreciated, and that's the thing that people forget, like mental health for your workers. Like even if you think of it like in a cold way, if your workers are not doing okay mentally, they're not gonna work as well. You know, like their productivity is gonna go down. If you just see it that way, like it just makes sense to make sure that your workers are actually being productive and that they can be productive, right?
Yeah, how are you supposed to be productive if you freaking hate your life? you know? Like and that's not to say that like everything about life sucks when you're an adult. It's just that like you guys said, it's very repetitive, it's cyclical. It's a very it feels like it's almost like a chore to live, you know? It's like I have to wake up, I have to eat, I have to shower. It's okay, I'll pass. But you know, it's like you feel like you have to do things instead of like wanting to do things. You know, like I mean, we all want to like do well, like as adults, but it feels like our desires have become more like I have to do it. Everybody's doing it. You know, I feel like the childlike innocence of like, oh, I want to go to work because I want to help people, gets replaced by I have to go to work because I have to make money, because I have to survive. You know, and I think a big part of finding the joy in what we do again is kind of remembering that like it might feel monotonous and repetitive, but if we go with the mindset, it's like I'm gonna do the same thing every day, like work for 8 hours 5 times a week or 45 hours if you're in Chile. um you're obviously gonna get burned out. You're gonna feel like life has no purpose, right? And I guess that's the thing that really helps, like finding something that makes you want to keep going.
Yeah, like a purpose, right?
A purpose, yeah.
I was wondering now, guys. Like if you think back to your first year of university, or even before you actually got into university, um, why did you decide to study what you actually studied? Like, what was your purpose? What were your goals when you decided to study?
For me, um, well, for me it's a long story, but right now, for example, I'm studying right now international relations. Even that, like you are really young, like you're 22, and I think Denny already graduate, but
Mhm.
I'm 20, 28, 26. Okay, no, 20, 28, and I always had a really hard time with life, a lot of trouble, a lot of problems. But at the same time, people expect for me to study, to have a career. And also at work, they expect something for me. So in my case, I end up doing this career because I didn't have any choice. Like I didn't have an option and I had to study something or otherwise they would give me the job I needed. So right now I think that if I have it another choice, I will take it. But I'm at this point where I have to work. So I have to be always really stressed about going to work and also studying because if I don't study, they won't give me a promotion. So it's a weird, like I'm in a weird place. But I think I just trying to make up excuses maybe for the fact that I didn't want to do anything.
Mm.
Maybe.
For me personally, the reason I went to college was because it's kind of similar to like Melissa's reason of feeling like it's obligation, but it's a little bit lighter than that. It's more like it's like expected of me. You know, Filipinos in particular are very they put a lot of emphasis on education. You know, like always get the best grades. You want to make sure you go to a good school, have a nice degree so you can make good money, right? And so when I went to college, it's because I was pretty much expected to. It's like it's no option to like you're not gonna not go to college. You definitely have to go to like after high school. And the funny thing with me is actually like my first semester in college. So we were like doing orientation, freshman orientation, right? And we had to pick our majors. And the whole time I was doing orientation, I never thought about like what I actually wanted to do, you know? So when we got to the orientation part, and it's like, okay, pick your major. I was like looking through the paper, and I was like, I really don't know what I want to do. Like I haven't even thought about it. I don't know why. Like I was just kind of there because I felt it was the right thing to do to go to orientation for my university, right? But like laugh at me if you want, but I know this is really stupid. But what I did was I closed my eyes. I like did this, and I put whatever my finger landed on, and that landed on business. So the first semester of college, I did business. I hate business. Yeah, I did not like it at all. Second semester, I went to psychology because I started to realize that I enjoy like the idea of studying the human mind and emotions, and I feel like I'm a very sensitive person. And I guess being a Cancer, I don't know if astrology is like a real thing, but I did psychology from there, and then I was like getting closer, but I don't feel like I want to do psychology because it's so broad, right? And so I went into human services, which is very similar to social work, and that's what I got my degree in human services and family therapy. But yeah, a lot of it was like it's expected of you. That's why I did it. I ended up enjoying it and figuring it out as I went. But in the beginning, I was like, literally, dude, this is what I did. So figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like for me, um, I think I got lucky because in like literally the last 2 years of high school, that was the time when I actually picked what I wanted to study. Before that, I wasn't sure at all. Um, like I'm pretty sure when I was younger, when I was in primary school, I was thinking of being a doctor. But then I just noticed that my grades were so bad that I was like, I'm not gonna make it. Even if I want to, I'm not gonna be able to do that. And I just, because I was doing so bad in, biology, chemistry, physics, I just thought I was just so demotivated to even pursue anything remotely scientific. So I just thought, okay, I have to do something else. And everyone was pushing me, my parents, and even my teachers were, well, you have to be an English teacher, right? Because you can speak English well, right? So, and you know a lot, so you can probably teach it. So I always thought, yeah, well, that's what people want for me, but what do I want for myself? And I pondered on it, and I realized that's what I wanted for myself as well. It just made sense, in a way. I thought, yes, I do have the qualities to do it, and the knowledge and the capabilities. Um, so I thought, let's just go with it, right? And I was actually shooting for translation first, and because I didn't do because here in Chile we have to do a test, right? We have a national test that we do to enter university, and you need to have a certain amount of points to actually pick your major. And so I was actually going to go for translation, but I didn't actually get the score that I needed. And then it was English teaching. So I thought, okay, let's do English teaching first, for a semester, and then maybe I can just try and switch the next semester, because that is a possibility that they give you. Since they're in the same faculty, you can just switch. Um, so I thought, let's do that. But funnily enough, I just fell in love with teaching, and not really I don't think it's the language. I just fell in love with teaching, and just how fulfilling um, it is. And I just thought, I looked up, if I thought of the adults that I was looking up growing up, they were mostly my English teachers. So I thought, I want to be like them, when I'm older. Like how you think when you're a kid, like when I'm older I want to be like my English teachers. So I think that's why I picked it. And being an English teaching student, I thought, well, it should be easy to make friends, because I think teachers should be friendly. So I thought, okay, so most people who are here must be friendly, right? And I'm not going to say I was wrong, but and they're not. They are actually friendly. Um, but I just had such a hard time making the first move. I think that's always been my biggest weakness, making the first move. Just going up to someone and being like, "Hey, how you doing?" Because I just feel like I'm, just an annoyance. Like maybe they don't want to talk to me. So why bother? Like why take their time um, if they don't really want to talk to me, and they're maybe just gonna answer out of politeness. Like you're talking to me, so I have to answer back, right? So I just thought it's not gonna be genuine, so I might as well not do it. And here I am, and all I have at university is just acquaintances. I'm not gonna say I haven't had a good time, because I have, because they're really really friendly people, but I haven't been able to make deep, uh, really strong connections. And and I think that's one of the things that I really want to achieve, is to be able to make a stronger connection with somebody. There's still a lot of us in my generation, so I might be able to pull it off before we finish.
Yeah.
So when you say that you've made a bunch of acquaintances in college, um, would you consider them people that you could text right now to hang out? Like, hey, I've just been in the city. Do you want to come grab a cup of coffee or do something later? Like, you think you'd be able to do that as an acquaintance versus like a friend? I'm just trying to distinguish like acquaintance versus friend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I think I can, yeah. If I think about certain people, I definitely can. And I have actually, like, there's this one guy that we just clicked before we actually, because we actually have the same name. You know, we're both called Fabian Gomez. Like, we even share the
Exactly the same
our
thing.
surname. Yeah. So
That's
it was
funny.
really funny because they were. I remember the first day, they were calling our names on the list, and they went Fabian Gomez, and we both, raised our hand at the same time. So we were like, Fabian Gomez, what? And then our second name. And I was like, oh, okay, it's him. So, and just we just clicked, and it turns out that he's a really nice guy, you know, and we have hung out in the past a few times, but I still don't feel like I can, like calling a friend, even though we have uh, been out together a few times. We talk a lot when we were free, before the quarantine. After classes, we would just talk sometimes, but I never felt like we were close. It was just an acquaintance, like a really nice acquaintance, but an acquaintance nonetheless. And well, I guess that brings us to our other topic. What would you define as a friend? Like for you guys, what is a friend? What qualities does a person need to have to be your friend?
For me, I think it is that person that you feel at ease, like in peace, like you feel just fine. You don't have to talk like every second with him or with her to feel fine, that you feel secure with that person, that you can just maybe don't talk to them for a year and you will feel like you have back and they have your back, and you feel just, yeah, secure, and you feel that you have them all the time, and you don't have to have them physically like in front of you to feel that they are for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with Melissa saying that time isn't really a factor when you have like a true friend. You know, my my best friend actually he's my cousin, and a lot of people go like, like, your best friend's your cousin? No, that's your cousin. I'm like, no, that's my best friend because he's also my brother. Like, we just click on another level, and we're both like weird as hell. But there have been years, like literally 4 or 5 years that have passed where we just didn't talk because we were doing our own thing, kind of, going through high school, going through college, and then we were just brought back together by life because my my dad's brother is his dad, so we ended up going on a trip together. We kind of talked a little bit again, but regardless of the time that had passed, it's like nothing ever felt different. Like I didn't feel like I had to get to know him again, or I don't feel like he acted different around me because I was like, it's been 5 years, bro. Like, you're a different person, and we weren't. We were completely different people. But no, I take that back. We weren't completely different. We went through a lot of different things ourselves, but fundamentally, like, I still knew him, he knew me, and I guess a true friend is somebody who you feel truly comfortable with, knowing that they won't judge you. You feel like you can be yourself, and that throughout, like, maybe it's fights or whatever, that you guys will still have each other at the end of the day, even if distance separates you. You know, it really won't separate you because you guys are still close on a deeper level.
Yeah. I agree with that. This feeling of even if time has passed, if there's distance between you, it doesn't matter. That you can just see each other again, and as you said, it's like no time has passed, and I do see how that can work. But in my case, sometimes I feel like I and that I feel like that's why some of my friendships have failed because I maybe I ask a lot of the other of other people. You know, like we need to see each other like this amount of times a week or something like that. Like we need to, I don't know, like if it is your birthday, like I need to be there, you know, or if it is my birthday, you need to be here. But I guess with time, I've learned that, you know, we have our lives outside of friends, and we cannot forget that they have stuff that they have to do and stuff that they want to do without us. You know, they have their own life. Um, so we need to learn that um, to respect individuality and their space, and that doesn't need to affect our relationship. Like we can still be uh, best friends even if we haven't seen each other for a long time. But I guess it boils down to this bond that you have that is family like. You know, well, in your case, Denny is literally family.
Literally family.
You know?
Yeah.
Literally family. Yeah. But I think that's like what you have to aim for. You know, like that. I feel like that's how you know when someone is actually your friend, when they feel like family, even if they're not. You know, like I'm gonna do something for you because it's you. You know, like I don't need any other reason to do stuff for you. And it goes both ways. You know, and that's also another thing that you need to keep in mind is that I think that goes both ways. You know, like does the other person feel the same way about you? Because I feel like people make that mistake, and I've made it myself in the past of I care too much, where the other person doesn't care at all or cares very little about our relationship, and then you invest a lot of time, a lot of effort, sometimes a lot of feelings into a relationship that is just not there, or that is just not what you thought it was in the first place. You know?
Yeah. I think a good friend or a true friend. I know like everybody views things differently, but you know, they should roughly do what you would want to do for them, and they would give that back. You know, and I'm not saying they're there for you 100% of the time. You know, like 7 days a week, but they care about you enough to like catch up with you. Like, hey, sorry man, I know I was busy this week, but how are you doing? Like tell me about what's going on with you. And you can kind of just sense that they want to know that you're okay. You know, I feel like you can't say that you're a friend of somebody if you don't really care about them. Because then their problems will kind of be like your problems. Like I personally feel hurt for my friends when they're going through something. I want to be there with them and try to help them through that. You know, because I feel like that's what friends do. Friends kind of they're there for each other and try to help each other when the going gets tough. It's not a situational thing. Like, to distinguish acquaintance and friend, I feel like acquaintances are like people at work who you get along well with and will hang out with you. Or maybe like they talk to you at work. Like you guys have a good conversation. Outside of work, you don't talk at all. They might help you if you're at work when it's convenient, but like friends will help you even when it's inconvenient. Even when it costs them something, they're willing to give that just because they want you to be, okay.
Yeah. But I don't know for you, your opinion about this, but I think also in general, we as human don't want to see the reality sometimes. When you come to a point when you sit yourself and start thinking, how many friends do I really have? Like people really don't want to make that question to themselves because it's scary to realize that maybe you will have just one or two people that cares for you. So I think sometimes we make ourselves in this mindset of I have a lot of friends, everyone loves me, and you start just trying to make an extra effort every time because you don't want to realize that maybe it's enough if you just have one friend that really cares. And sometimes I think that is the reason why sometimes we feel really hurt when people doesn't reply back or people doesn't care because we haven't sit ourselves thinking how many friends do I really have.
Yeah. Well, that has to do with like I guess like the social media effect. You know, like you look at your friends at your friend list and
Mhm.
on Facebook, and it's like, yeah, I have 500 friends, and then if you really take a minute and think like, how many of these people are actually my friends? You know, in real life, like who out of these people would stick up for me, and if it has to come down to that, you know, and you know, probably you would just need the fingers of one hand, probably like and this is, you know, this is known, it's scientific fact that, or I don't know if it's scientific fact, but it's probably like a fact of life that just uh, you know, you come to understand that not everyone is actually your friend, you know. And but I guess we just not to complicate our existence, and because maybe someone will feel hurt if you tell them that they're just your acquaintance, you know. So you're just gonna call them, yeah, they're my friend, you know. Like if your mom asks, yeah, it's my friend from school or my friend from work, but not to say like, oh, it's just my colleague, or no, it's just a classmate, because that sounds a little,
Cold.
you know, yeah, a little cold. Like, come on, dude. Like, we talk and we do stuff together. Like, aren't we friends? Not necessarily, you know. Um, so that, I guess that's the thing that we have to keep in mind. Acquaintances, it's okay to have acquaintances. It's okay to be someone's acquaintance, and you need to be comfortable with it, because otherwise, you know, you're just then you do become an annoyance to an extent. I think, like when you're trying too hard to push for a relationship that the other person doesn't really want. You know, like you're probably an acquaintance for a reason. You know,
Mhm.
especially if you've been an acquaintance for a long time, that means that the other person doesn't really want you as their friend. You know.
Fabian, I have a big thing to say about this though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you told me, you told us that earlier in the episode that a lot of time you're afraid to make the first move, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
They're like, oh, I'm gonna just, you know, they're just gonna want to talk to me because it's polite, because it's courteous, not because they actually want to talk to me. You know, who's to say, you know, like the people who are your acquaintances who are just staying at that level feel the same way? What if they're like, yeah, Fabian's cool, but like, I don't think he'd actually want to talk to me, you know? And see, that's the effect. If two people who are shy and don't want to start, you know, like one's facing this way, the other one's facing this way, and what happens? Like nothing, right? That's
Yeah.
why, me personally, it can be hard for me too. But I've tried to open up to people, and like, yeah, I make myself vulnerable because I could totally be rejected, and I've gotten rejected like quite a few times. But I don't care about those at all, as opposed to the few people that have actually like stayed, you know. So I think that we have to realize that friend making as adults is really hard because it is vulnerable, right? Like you're like over here trying to figure shit out, and you're like, hey, want to be part of my life? Huh? Maybe? And they're like, no, you know. But like, but you will get the eventual yes, you know, because it's. I think it's like throwing darts, right? Like you will miss a lot, but eventually, like keep throwing darts and you'll hit a bullseye. But if you don't throw darts, you're not gonna hit anything.
Yeah. And you also have to be honest. Like, I know it's really like uncomfortable to say people like you don't like to be their friends, or like, hey dude, am I your friend? But I think if you start being honest with that and you pass that point of being uncomfortable, you will find really cool people. And also because I think I'm the one who is always annoying everybody. Like the two friends that I have, like the reality is that I choose them. Like my best friend, he didn't want to talk to me at all. Like he was really shy, but he doesn't want to be rude, but he's really shy and he doesn't like to speak at all. So I was just annoying him all day long, like, hey, you're gonna be my friend, and he was like, okay, okay, if you want to grab coffee with me, and he was like, I don't care, you have to come with me. It was like every day, and at the end of the day he just opened up. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I do it to you, Fabian, you will feel like, hey, you're really harassing me. Just stop. I think you just feel the connection sometimes. Like you know you can do that to the person and they feel fine.
Yeah. So probably, like just try because I've seen that. Just doing research for the episode. I was going through Reddit and Quora, and there was a lot of posts of people asking for like advice to make friends. And then you look online, like if you just read online everywhere, the thing that you see all the time is try. Like just try and try and try. It's like it's almost like riding a bike. You start slow, you're a little sloppy, but if you keep trying, you're gonna get it. So it's like practice, and it's always hard to make the first step. But then you get good at it, and you don't stop, right? So and who knows, like whenever you start meeting a lot of people, as you were saying, Denny, like yeah, sure, you're throwing a lot of darts, and eventually you're gonna hit bullseye, and you're gonna find someone who really cares about you, and you can care about them just as much. So I think that, and it probably sounds disheartening to some people, especially introverted people, because it's like, yeah, I know that I have to try, but it's hard for me to try in the first place. So it's kind of like you need to get it going first, and it's almost like that's how I took it when I started my training, because I do bodybuilding ever since I was a teenager. I was 14 when I started, and I just thought like, how am I going to be able to keep this up? Because I'm really tired. I trained for a lot of hours. Well, I was making that mistake in the first place. I didn't have to train for that long, but I was. And I thought, how am I going to keep this up? And there was this guy, you have like these people who make like videos of like Tabata, like an hour of Tabata, and they go at it like for an hour and they like 100% all the time. And you're like, I want to be like that guy. And he uploaded a video saying like, and this is like, I think it was like his catchphrase, or not his catchphrase, like his motto, like the first steps or like at the beginning is always hard, and then it's really easy. And now I look back and I'm like, yeah, it's really easy. Like I do it every day. It's like it's part of my daily life, working out. I don't even think about it. It's like going to the bathroom. It's like eating. I just do it.
Second
You
nature.
know, yeah, it's become a habit at this point. So I guess making friends is pretty much the same thing. Make it a habit, and to develop habits, you need repetition.
Yeah.
So just try and try and try, and you'll get good at it eventually.
I also think like a big part of making friends is mindset. Like you said, when you were like working out and doing your bodybuilding, you're like, how am I gonna maintain this, right? You didn't let yourself get disheartened, and you didn't let yourself sulk on the days where you felt like you couldn't push anymore, right? You were like, I'll just do the next day, I'll just keep trying, right? Like you were consistent with it without giving up, right? And that's why you are where you're at today because of your hard work. And I think with friendships, um, you're gonna miss a lot of darts. Like you're gonna try to talk to people and it's gonna be like no connection, no chemistry. But the takeaway is don't don't be so disheartened by it and go like, oh, I guess I suck as a person. Nobody likes me because that one dude said, nah, I don't want to talk to you, right? Like, yeah, not everybody's gonna like you. Most people probably aren't gonna like you, but you have to remember that it's not because of you. It's not like people don't like you because you suck, because you're a nuisance, because I don't, because you're too anything. It's it's compatibility, right? And the people, I think we should take lessons from the people who we try to be friends with, and that we don't. You try to be friends with somebody, maybe, you might think, oh man, I should have stayed quiet. I shouldn't have talked to them. But maybe the real takeaway is maybe I shouldn't try to make friends with somebody who is a bit too quiet. maybe I should, like, me being a quiet person, maybe I should talk to somebody who's a bit more talkative, right? You kind of find out what your best fit is, like, we have to not take things so personally, because I know I'm guilty of that. Like, before, when I try to make friends and I get rejected, like, I take it really badly, and now just try to keep an overall, like, friendly vibe with people, because you can like me if you want. If you don't, I don't really care. But being yourself, though it's like super hard, it's always worth it.
Yeah. Like you have to get comfortable with it, and it comes natural to some people. Like they're just genuine all the time. But I feel like other people, like me, like I feel that way sometimes where I keep this facade, like because people always tell me like you have a really serious face. So I think, okay, so I have to act serious. I have to act that way, just to keep up that image of me. Like people think I'm that way. Okay, let me just be that way. But that also led me to be, disingenuine. So I wasn't being myself all the time. I was trying to keep up this facade of me being really, really serious all the time because that's what people were expecting of me, and that was a big mistake, and I'm trying to go back on that, because sometimes even my family think that uh, I'm that way too because I act like that all the time. It's almost like it's become a reality. Like I've almost accepted that I'm that way, you know. So I even act like this with my family. Like the only person I think in the entire world where I'm really genuine all the time is my little sister. Like I'm always genuine with her. I'm smiling all the time. We're laughing. I'm making jokes. I'm dancing like an idiot. Um, and I'm not afraid to act like a clown in front of her, because I just feel like I can be myself with her. Uh, and we make this facade because I guess that just it's almost like a defensive um, strategy, to like protect myself uh, of failure and maybe like rejection as well. So I think I have to be like stoic and really serious to like not show that I'm affected by what other people say about me. Although I can sometimes be really affected by what other people say about me or think about me, or I think that they think about me.
Yeah. But I think everyone has a facade, like in certain areas of their life. Like for example, for me, I do it at work. I have to be at certain with certain how can I say? Because I'm really quirky. Like I also dance like an idiot all the time in public places and do weird stuff. But at work, I have to be really serious. But also, I have to be happy, and also I have to be fine every second of the day. So I think it's just you feel secure when you have this facade because you can control it. And if you are just yourself, you feel like naked. You feel like everyone is just judging you. And when you have this facade, it's like you're acting. At the end of the day, it's not you. So if they don't like that, it's because it's a facade. It's not you. But you don't feel the reaction the same way. I don't know. For me, it's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Like,
about you, Dan?
oh, like I was saying, like you said, it doesn't hurt as much, right, Melissa, if you're just putting on a facade. Because
Yeah.
if they don't like it, they're like, that's not me. So it's okay,
Yeah.
right?
Jokes on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, what if, like, what if you actually show your true self? Have you guys ever shown your true self to somebody and they didn't like that? Like you didn't put on a facade. You were being yourself. You know, has anybody ever kind of like acted weird around you or kind of like made you feel like you shouldn't be like that? Because that's you being yourself, and you can't go like that's a facade. Ha, I got you. That's like who you are. So
Yeah. For me, it happened once at work. I was like dancing with myself, but I thought nobody was watching. And someone just come to me and said like, why are you doing this? Like, you know how old you are? Like, you cannot do that. Like, you have to act like certain way because you have to be professional. And I feel really bad because it was like I was at work and it was one of my colleagues, and I was like, I feel really childish and stupid, and I feel really bad that day, because I said to myself, like, my personality is like really childish, and I have to maybe grow up. I was like, not depression, but I was like this, with this thinking over and over and over, and just punishing myself. And I just, at the, like, for a month, I just said to myself, you know what, I don't care. Like, I cannot change myself just because a dude just come to me and say they don't like it. But it was really hard just to really put it in an open view and just see myself. Maybe I won't like everyone.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking now. Well, I don't think I've ever like gone like too far to show myself. Like I have this tendency of making really bad jokes, especially when I'm uncomfortable. Um, so I guess that's when I show just a tad of my true self, and it's really disheartening because like um, they're so bad that people don't laugh. And I'm like, well, it's a joke. Come on, laugh. But I've also had the opposite happen. Like I remember we were in class this one time, and I just made this really terrible joke. Like not even I thought it was funny, and like this one girl just started laughing her ass off, and I was like, the hell? Like, are you okay? That wasn't even funny, and that just made me feel really good about myself. And that whole day, I felt like I acted like myself for the first time in public in a long time, just because of that reaction that I got. That I wasn't really expecting, because like it wasn't a joke that even myself thought was funny.
It was
But
just one girl too, right?
the weird thing is that you knew it was a bad joke and you just keep going.
Yeah.
That's courage right there.
Yeah.
You're just throwing yourself out there. You're like, this is not a great joke, but do what you want with it, right? And then all it takes is that one person who just starts like laughing her ass off for you to feel good about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like your darts. It's like everybody else missed the joke. It totally went over their head. They were like, and then there's that one chick who's like, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that I tend to think, like maybe my joke was hard to get. Like maybe I'm too smart. Maybe
Can
that's
you
the
tell us
problem.
what the joke was? What was the joke? I'm curious.
Yeah, you have to tell the joke.
Yeah, you have to tell us now.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't like an actual joke. We were in the middle of class actually. Um, and I just think like it was almost like a punchline really, but I don't really remember the context. I just remember that I said, um, I think I said, that's because she's old. That's literally all I said. I don't seriously, I don't remember the context. And then I just looked down because I was actually trying to get my friend to laugh, or well, one of my classmates to laugh, who was sitting next to me, and like he didn't react at all. So I was like, damn it. So I just looked to the left, and I just make eye contact with the girl, and she's just laughing like she has her face to the table, like she's actually trying to hide the fact that she's laughing because we're in the middle of class. But I just could tell that she was laughing her ass off. But again, like seriously, I don't think it was supposed to be a joke really. I just said it. Like it was like a reflex. It just came out. So I just said it, and then I realized that she was laughing. So it was weird. Yeah. But
And then
yep.
you haven't told your story, Danny. You just ask.
Oh, about showing yourself and then people like not liking it. That one?
Yeah.
Um Here's an interesting thing about me. Like I love dancing. And I've been to like countless quinceañeras. Um and also debuts. So a quinceañera, you guys know what that is. Like, in Mexico. I don't know if it's in other Hispanic cultures as well. But when the girl turns 15, they throw like a dancing party. Like I've been part of that group like many times. In the Philippines, it's called a debut. It's when you turn 18 for the girl, and it's the same thing basically. But I don't know what it is about dancing, but like I just get so like in the groove, and I feel like I can just pull any girl I want. Like I can do anything. I just feel like I'm on top of the world. Like nobody can stop me, right? And so a lot of time, naturally, when I'm like dancing, right, in the dance floor, there's some people that are just like standing and like just watching me, right? And then like if I'm not in the groove, I'd probably feel like, oh, I'm being weird. They won't like that, right? But when I'm like really into it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling it. Like if somebody looks at me weird, I'll be like I'll just like taunt them or something, yeah, like you get more confident because you're standing up to like people, going like, hey, that's kind of weird, man. So I don't know, like with dancing in particular, like it's happened a few times where people are like, oh man, he has way too much energy, and I'll just be like, got a problem with it, and I'll just keep dancing. But those are the days where I probably feel like most confident, when I'm getting tested and people are like giving me looks, and I'm just like taunting them more.
Yeah.
Uh,
They're almost just like adding up to your confidence. Like,
yeah, it's almost like their doubt makes me like feel better about myself, because I'm like, yeah, don't give a shit. Like, I'm just kind of like getting into it. And I guess that's not always my attitude, because there are times where like I'll be myself and I feel like people don't like it, and then I'll like maybe like be a little more quiet. But it's kind of like, I guess it's a decision that you make. Am I gonna let this person get me down, or am I gonna show? Because I feel like it's a test when people are showing their disapproval to you. They're testing like your resolve. It's like, hey, I don't like that about you, and it's like, okay, if and I feel like if I cave in and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll change, I feel like I'm giving them power over me. But if you're staying true to yourself and then even getting more like yourself, then I think they start to realize like, wow, I can't change this dude. He's just.
And they start dancing with you.
Yeah, and I just pull him in. I'm like, yeah, start twirling them and everything. That's never happened. That's assault. But I guess it's just staying true to yourself and not letting people change you, even though that's really hard. It's worth it. Convincing yourself you're confident eventually even like leads to like real confidence, from what I've seen. Like faking it till you make it.
Yeah, that same phrase. There's this TED talk that I saw. Well, a teacher showed us this TED talk, and it was literally that, like, fake it till you make it. That's what it was called. And it was about like power poses. So like, how the way you sit, the way you stand, like, like when you're hunched over, that shows that you're not, that you're powerless, or that you're weaker. But then if you're like sitting like really confident, like really open, like really relaxed, that just shows like you're powerful. So I guess it goes, in the same direction. Like, you have to believe it yourself before it actually happens. Like, because like nothing is going to happen if you don't believe it can happen in the first place. Like, you have to believe. Well, that's going to sound like so cringy, but like, you have to believe to make it possible. Believe in yourself, yeah. Otherwise, it's not gonna work, you know. So yeah, I guess that's really good advice. If you feel like you're too introverted, and you want to go a little more extroverted, and boost your own confidence. Like, do it for yourself, and use whatever before was negative. Like people judging you or whatever. Use that to your advantage, just like you said, Denny. Like, use people looks, the way they're looking at you, or like whatever they're saying, and use that to your advantage.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like confidence should begin in yourself, and people start to pick up on that, because like I said with the quinceañera stuff, like there have been times where I've changed people's moods, where they were like, they didn't feel like dancing, and then Like, because you know, it's like energy is contagious. I believe. You know, if you're in a room or everybody's quiet, you're probably most likely going to be quiet. But if you kind of choose to kind of throw more energy out there, people can pick that up and they can kind of change themselves. You know,
But
I
then
guess.
in a quinceañera, everyone is like, in a quinceañera, you have to dance. Like, it's not an option. So I don't believe if nobody dance there and you were the only one.
I don't know about you, but in America, like a lot of the quinces, like when they're just freestyle dancing, or like when the organized dance is over, people are just like usually like standing and swaying or something.
Mm-mm.
I don't know, like
In
it's
Mexico, you
different
have
in
to have the moves. You
exactly.
always.
Melissa, you gotta teach us. You gotta teach us. You know,
Yeah, no,
your salsa skills.
I don't know about you, but I was like, I like to dance, but when I'm in a public situation like quinceañeras, I do the same, like the same step every time. I always do like da 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 da, or just like this. I look like her, but when I'm alone, I was just like moving my crazy ass off. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying.
And I think like just something I noticed too when I'm dancing, when I'm feeling confident, like I don't really care how I look. Like I'm just, you know, my moves might not make sense or be unorthodox, but I'm just dancing because I'm feeling it. You know, just following the energy, just like flowing with it. You know, it's like yeah, this is Hispanic music. I'm gonna fucking robot. You know, like I'm gonna just do whatever I want, and
Yeah.
it helps kind of just
Yeah. And well,
fall.
you know, all of those things that we were talking about, being introverted and all of those hardships, you know, like whenever you are failing at making friends, um, then that's accompanied by the feeling of loneliness, you know, and I was wondering if you guys have ever felt lonely because we have to make that contrast between being alone, which is just talking about you in contrast to the space. Like I'm right now, I'm alone in my room, right? But that doesn't mean that I feel lonely, which is completely different. Sometimes you can be in a room full of people and feel lonely anyway. So have you guys ever felt lonely, like actually lonely?
Yeah, I always have a struggle with that, and also because I think I deal with depression and I have a hard time just showing myself to the world. I have like I'm just myself with my friends. So for me it's really hard just to open up sometimes when I'm feeling lonely in a public space because I think it's when you really feel burnout and really scared, really alone, when you are with a lot of people in a one room and you don't feel like you can talk to anyone. Like you feel really just I don't know, empty. It's I don't know how to explain it, but when I feel really lonely is when I'm with a lot of people and I just feel that I cannot talk to anyone, and I just feel really like myself, like I'm just with myself, and I can not deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I feel lonely, it's I feel the same way. I'm like I feel stuck. You know, like I'm in this depressive mood where I'm sulking and kind of like focusing on negative stuff. And the worst part about that is feeling like when you're alone, you're physically alone, right? But when you're feeling lonely, when I feel lonely, I feel like I'm emotionally alone. Like nobody's gonna get what I say, and it's not gonna matter because nobody's gonna care about it. And that's kind of like the self talk that I have when I'm feeling lonely. You know, it's very negative. Um, a lot of the time, like loneliness is just it's like suffocating, and it feels like you feel like the only person in the world. You know, it's like a cage.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's a strange feeling. I understand it's hard to describe. Like it's almost like any of this like really strong mental states, like just like with depression, you know, like if you ask someone what depression is, I feel like they have to take a minute to really think it through, and And then even if you ask like 100 people, they're probably gonna give you a different definition, every single one of them, because they feel it a different way. Um, so like you guys were saying, like um, when I felt lonely, it's like this really strong sense of like sadness comes to me, and I'm just especially when I see people like having fun and doing stuff with other people, that's when
Hilarious.
it's like the worst feeling, you
You're
know.
like sulking. Everybody's just having a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's when it feels really, really, really bad. Um, and again, it's this like really strong feeling of sadness and like almost like you're helpless. Like I'm in this situation right now and I can't do anything about it. Just feel like that, and like almost like you're in a void in the middle of the universe, and there's no one there with you, and like there's no way out. You just look around and everything is dark. You know, it's like that. But um, to me, like it comes and goes. Luckily, like I don't constantly feel lonely. But again, it's like those moments when I see other people being with other people. Those are the times when I actually feel lonely. Otherwise, I'm just really aware that I'm alone. But that's completely different.
Yeah, I think loneliness it's a very difficult concept to kind of talk about because how it even makes me feel thinking about like loneliness. Like like, like it brings me back to like memories of when I actually felt lonely to actually try and describe it. And you really just feel like you said, Fabian, like you have no other option. Like you're stuck there. Nobody's gonna get you, and you're just in this downward spiral of negativity, right? Like you're gonna go like I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, nobody wants to talk to me, um, I'm not worth it. You even question like, why am I living? I kind of just want to not necessarily like kill yourself, but just to disappear, because you feel like you don't fit in, you know.
Yeah.
But like you only stay that way if you like fester in those thoughts. If you keep feeding yourself negative thoughts and keep following the trail of negative energy that's in your mind, that's what makes it worse. I feel like when I'm lonely, I feel worse because I'm choosing to be lonely, you know? And I'm not saying that you can instantly switch off like I'm not lonely anymore, I'm fine, but I think there are steps that you can take to kind of bring yourself back up, you know? What do you guys do when you're feeling lonely and you kind of want to, like you want to get back to your regular self, feel better? Like what is it that you do to kind of get out of that lonely space, that void?
For me, it's just talk to myself because I think sometimes, as you said, you fester thoughts of just think that you don't worth it, that you're just tired. And for me, it's just talk to myself, and I just start like saying things like, "You have to stop feeling this way. You are doing great." You just like you push yourself just to get out of this weird mood, this darkness, and you just I don't know. I with this thing about COVID and everything, I just realized I just talk to myself every day. Like at some point of the day, I just have to talk to myself because sometimes I don't realize that I'm fine, but as the days goes by, I feel like maybe I don't feel like really. I'm starting to feel that, so I just start talking to myself.
Yeah. Well, in my case, I have my little antidepressant, my little sister. Um, we have a really close relationship, and she has this effect on me where, like, as soon as I can see that she's there, it's just like everything else doesn't matter, and it's always been like that because uh, I think that's an interesting story to tell. when she was born, because it actually felt so cliche when my mom was pregnant, because I was the youngest one and my parents took care of me a lot. I was the baby, before she came, and I was just so jealous when my mom got pregnant, because I thought, well, all the attention is gonna go to the baby now, and like my parents are just gonna stop uh, caring for me. Those ridiculous thoughts that you get when
Mhm.
a brother or a sister is gonna be born. Very cliche. But then when she was actually born, um, and like they asked me, "Do you want to hold her?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." Just to experience it, I thought. And I held her and I looked at her face and I just started crying. And I was thinking, like, why am I crying? And it just felt good. Like I wasn't actually crying out of sadness. I felt happy, like genuinely happy that she was born, that she was here. And like I thought, okay, from today on, I'm I'm going to be the best big brother I can possibly be. And that's the thing that drives me. Like she's my motivation. Every day I wake up in the morning and I'm like, cool, I can see her today. Like, cool, we're gonna do this today. And she's the one that uh, is always able to bring the best out of me. As I was saying before, like I can be myself with her, with no fear at all. So it's really cool, and I know I'm lucky in that sense. But I guess people should try to find something like that. It doesn't have to be a person. Maybe you enjoy doing something a lot, and it takes you out of that really dark mood. It can be something really trivial. Like just to take your mind off of thinking for a second, like disconnect your brain and just do something really trivial. I don't know, do the dishes for like an hour. I don't know, or something like that. Something really trivial.
Bro,
Um,
You're
you
like
know,
cleaning
you're
over
telling
and
me
over.
you're gonna feel lonely and go like, I'm gonna do the dishes for an hour. Like that's the first thing that pops in
Yeah,
your
that's not.
I don't know, dude.
head. I do this for
Just like
the
get
dishes.
everything dirty and wash it.
The work, yeah. You know, Melissa, I actually like a coping mechanism that I have when I'm feeling lonely. I also speak with myself. I talk to myself. It's usually when I'm on the way back home from work. Um, and it's kind of similar to what you say you do. You like motivate yourself, like you're doing fine, you're doing well, right? But for me, I maybe it's because I work in mental health. But what happens is I will have a conversation with myself where I'm playing part of the therapist and also the client at the same time. Like, I'll be driving home. I'll be like, Danny, you want to talk about it? I'm like, no. And I'll be like, yeah, you do. Tell me about it. What are you feeling? And then I'll be like, well, I don't know. I just felt kind of bad because I had a client who yelled at me over the phone because I couldn't do something that I'm not able to do. It's not even my job. But I talk about I have conversations like that to kind of like rationalize and like process what I'm feeling. Because I feel like when I feel lonely too, it's because I've let a negative thought or feeling kind of like I've left it alone for too long. Like I haven't given it attention. Um, like another weird thing that I do too, like like kind of similar to the therapy thing is, um, I would treat myself the way that I would treat my best friend. If I saw my best friend, he was lonely, he was down. Would I try to go like, hey bro, get up, like let's do something, right? Maybe it depends on the case, but realistically, like sometimes when you're lonely, you don't have that much energy. So I think I just try to adopt this mindset of, hey, I want you to know that I'm here for you. I know you feel really low right now, but I want to promise you that this isn't gonna last forever. This loneliness that you're feeling, it will subside because this is just you um, not processing your emotions, and so you're going through this thing right now because you can't ignore it anymore. And I think that just being very patient with myself and talking myself down the way that I would talk to somebody I really loved and cared about, if they're feeling depressed, it, it kind of it makes me feel much better because I'm kind of like being there for myself, you know. Like I want you guys to think about somebody that you love, like Fabian, like your little sister. If you saw your little sister not as happy as she usually was, she was down, she was down in the dumps. How would you treat her?
Um, well, I actually always ask her how she's doing, like constantly, like even multiple times in a day. Um, because then I go up to her room and I ask her, "How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?" And and she'll just answer like, "What do you want?" That's what she says. Like, come on, I'm just asking you. But like she actually went through something really tough for her young age. Like she's just 12, but when she was, I guess I think between 9 and 10, she started having this really horrible nightmares about death. You know, and she started like to worry about death like a lot, and that really hit me because I was thinking like she's just a little girl, like she shouldn't be thinking about death. Like she has her life ahead of her. Like this is not something she should be thinking about. But she just started having those nightmares, and I would just have to go to her room and try to comfort her. But it was just being there with her because that's another thing that she has, and I think that's where the fear of death comes from, is that she's really afraid of being alone. And like I thought like, well, the best thing I can do is not leave her alone, just be there with her. So that's what I try to do, just be there. Saying stuff doesn't really do anything with her, because she gets really emotional. So the best thing to do is to just be there with her. Let her know that you are not alone, because that's exactly what she's afraid of. So like, let her know this is just a nightmare that you had. Like it's not gonna happen. You're never gonna be like completely alone. Even if I'm not there with you, it's gonna be somebody else. Or like she's really afraid that my parents are gonna die because they're old, I guess. Like my dad is almost 50, and my mom is, I think she's 46. So
Old?
yeah, sure, but
That's not old.
in her eyes, she thinks
Yeah.
like, you know, they're close, or like it could happen at any time, especially because my dad doesn't take care of himself a lot in terms of health. So he's had some close calls in the past, and like his father died of a heart attack, and my dad has been close to heart attacks in the past as well. So, that I think that's where her fear comes from. But that's the thing I do, just be there with her because that's exactly what she needs, to know that she's not alone.
I agree with that, and that's kind of the gist of what I try to do. When I'm feeling lonely, like you said, like sometimes words don't work. Sometimes they work for me, and I love talking things out. But there are times where just having somebody next to you is more than enough. Because they're not trying to rush you into like, hope you feel better. Hey, let's get up, let's do something. They're just being next to you. They're giving you the option. Hey, if you need me, I'm here. If you don't, that's fine. I'm still gonna just chill here. You can talk to me if you want. And I think that's what helps me out the most. And like when I'm feeling lonely, I'm not trying to pressure myself to feel better. I'm not like, you gotta feel better right now, because a lot of the time it makes it worse. It's kind of like a natural progression where when I feel like I'm forgiving myself and being very patient, I slowly just come back because I'm reaffirming to myself that you're human, dude. You're gonna feel like negative emotions. You're gonna feel like you're not enough. But I want you to know that that's temporary and that's just a feeling. You aren't your feelings. You might feel like you want to kill somebody. Are you actually gonna kill somebody? It's like your feelings aren't you. And I think detaching myself from that really helps me out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess just to end it on like a a positive note.
Yes, the
You know,
positive.
yeah, like I guess like this thing that a lot of people say, like you're never truly alone, like or like there's always someone who cares for you. I believe that to be true for the most part. You know, I think like it's very few cases where you literally have no one, or you're like actually completely alone, and it's easy to feel like there's no one there for you, you know. But just don't look too far. Like your family's always there, you know, and there's always gonna be this instinctive feeling that they're gonna have to protect each other. So if you just ask, if you just reach out, um, they're gonna be there for you. And even if it's not your family, you know, there's therapists. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because if you don't ask for help, then you know, you're gonna be in real trouble. You know, face the problem. Don't let it. Don't put it on the back of your head. You know, deal with it. Um, I know it sounds a little like it sounds. You know, it's harder than I make it sound, but you have to take that first step to try and fix stuff. You need to have the like, I want to fix this. I want this to be over. I want to stop feeling this way. And
Mhm.
that's the first step. You have to want to stop feeling lonely. And that's the first step to actually stop being lonely, you know?
You
So
have
any
to
final thoughts,
realize.
guys?
Um, I was just gonna go off your thought. The first step is wanting to stop feeling lonely, but also it's to realize that you can do something about it. I know a lot of the time it feels like, oh, we're stuck when we're lonely. There's nothing we can do. I'm in this void and I'm never gonna get out. And that's not the truth. It your mind does this stupid thing where it convinces you that's how things are. You can't get out. But from my experience and the experience of many other people, it's having the right mindset to get out of that. Like I said, don't pressure yourself to go like you better feel better right now. But at the same time, don't stay in like it's okay to stay lonely. It's not okay to stay lonely because it's a feeling that gets worse over time if you if it's unchecked. So you want to remind yourself reasons why it's important to live. Like that you are important by yourself, even if you don't have family. Fabian, I noticed when you said that uh, everybody has family, right? Well, there are some people that don't have that luxury. I feel like we're us personally, we're pretty lucky to have people who care about us, but there are people who really feel like they don't have anybody. And the first step to, I guess, feeling better is to kind of be there for yourself, and to remind yourself that you're a person who's worthy of living just because you exist. You're important just because you are who you are, not because of what you do, not because of what you've achieved, but because you deserve love. And once you start to learn that, you can give love to other people, and then I guess that's how you build a family. You know?
Yeah.
For me, I think I just started becoming like a fan. I was like like hearing Danny, and I was like, yeah, I can do it. Okay, but I think for me, I mean, just to add a comment of Danny is you have to enjoy your own company. Like it's really, well, maybe sounds stupid when someone told you you have to love yourself, you have to enjoy being with yourself, but like it's true, because when you start sometimes feeling lonely or sad, it's because you don't like to be with yourself. So I think we have to start enjoying our company, and really appreciate the fact that we are here in this world for just a reason, and that matters. Like no matter what you do in life or who you're with, you matter just because you exist.
It's enough.
Yeah.
You're
Now
more
we
than
can start crying.
Okay. Well, that will do it for the first episode. Thank you guys so much, so much for joining me, and for sharing your ideas and your perspectives on all the topics we discussed today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Okay, so see you in the next one then. Bye.
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 Bye.